Around half of the schools in the world have no internet connection. This lack of connectivity means young people do not have access to information and opportunity available online. How are we changing this? GigaMap schools and their connectivity to create a real-time display of access and need. There are four main layers of data that Giga maps. The first layer of data is school location. In many places, the exact location of schools is still unknown. To map school locations, Giga consolidates government and open data sets, scans satellite imagery with AI algorithms, and works with people on the ground to validate results. The second layer of data that Giga maps is whether each school has access to the internet or not. Green schools already have access. Red schools still need access, and yellow schools have access, but it's not very good. The third layer of data, mobile coverage, tells us whether there is cell service around the school. These data can help us understand what potential technologies can be used to connect an unconnected school and how close a school is to existing infrastructure. Finally, the fourth layer of data Giga maps is the real-time quality of the internet in connected schools. Giga measures whether connected schools receive good, consistent internet access that young people can use to learn, develop skills, and
Mic check, 1, 2. Microphone check, 1, 2. Microphone check, 1, 2.
need. There are four main layers of data that Giga maps. The first layer of data is school location. In many places, the exact location of schools is still unknown. To map school locations, Giga consolidates government and open data sets, scans satellite imagery with AI algorithms, and works with people on the ground to validate results. The second layer of data that Giga maps is whether each school has access to the internet or not. Green schools already have access. Red schools still need access, and yellow schools have access, but it's not very good. The third layer of data, mobile coverage, tells us whether there is cell service around the school. These data can help us understand what potential technologies can be used to connect an unconnected school and how close a school is to existing infrastructure. Finally, the fourth layer of data Giga maps is the real-time quality of the internet in connected schools. Giga measures whether connected schools receive good, consistent internet access that young people can use to learn, develop skills, and reach their full potential.
Putting your phone away and paying attention to those talking to you is called respect. Sometimes, what seems important on the phone is not really that important. Your cell phone has already replaced your camera, your calendar, and your alarm clock. Don't let it replace your family. The most important thing we can ever give each other is our attention. Give the people in your life the gift of your presence by putting down your phone sometimes. MTC is asking you to disconnect, to connect, to spread the love. MTC, make the connection. Putting your phone away and paying attention to those talking to you is called respect. Sometimes, what seems important on the phone is not really that important. Your cell phone has already replaced your camera, your calendar, and your alarm clock. Don't let it replace your family. The most important thing we can ever give each other is our attention. Give the people in your life the gift of your presence by putting down your phone sometimes. MTC is asking you to disconnect, to connect, to spread the love. MTC, make the connection. Putting your phone away and paying attention to those talking to you is called respect. Sometimes what seems important on the phone is not really that important. Your cell phone has already replaced your camera, your calendar, and your alarm clock. Don't let it replace your family. The most important thing we can ever give each other is our attention. Give the people in your life the gift of your presence by putting down your phone sometimes. MTC is asking you to disconnect, to connect, to spread the love. MTC, make the connection. Putting your
Out of airtime, dial *140*682# and register if it's your first time. Enter your secret 5-digit PIN. Select option 1, buy or payments. Click option 1 again, MTC services. Now choose airtime. Select whether it should be sent to your number or a recipient's number. Enter the amount. Confirm with option 1. And just like that, airtime restored. Crisis averted. But there's another problem. No electricity. Dial *140*682#. Don't forget your secret PIN. Select option 1, buy or payments. This is where you can access all your bill payment services like MultiChoice, Olusheno, City of Windhoek bill payments, as well as water and electricity. Click option 4 to purchase electricity. Enter your meter number, followed by the amount of electricity you need. Confirm with option 1, and you will receive the electricity token via SMS. Power back on. Airtime, utilities, or multi-choice payments. MTC Maries has got your back day and night. Dial *140*682# and take control. Because when it matters, we're always there. MTC Maries. Digital innovation by MTC. Out of it, need cash? No worries. With MTC Maries, your money's just a few taps away. Let's make magic happen. First, dial *140*682#.
Good morning
Enter
again.
your unique PIN if you are registered.
We are not awake this
you
morning.
are not registered.
Good
Register
morning.
with your full names and create your secret
That's much
5-digit
better.
PIN.
Thank you
Confirm
for
and your
joining us today for this groundbreaking occasion, for the signing ceremony of the MOU between the United Nations in Namibia and the biggest telecommunications company in the country, MTC. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our esteemed DG, Director General of the National Planning Commission. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. I would like to, we are saying this is a this is an MOU about digitalization. So I don't want to say the Minister of MICT is not here. She is digitally represented here. So I would like to welcome her as well and acknowledge their representation. The Ministry of Education also gave a delegation. So in absentia, acknowledging the Minister, Honorable Sanet Steenkamp, and the person she delegated. Also the Ministry of Health and Social Services in absentia, but they have a representation. Welcome, Grace. No, sorry, it's not Grace. Grace is education. I'm sorry, Grace. So anyways, there's a representation. I would like to acknowledge MTC. We don't have the MD here. We don't have the MD, and this is Mr. Tennis. Thank you and welcome. I would like to acknowledge our resident coordinator, Ms. Hopolang Pororo. Thank you, RC, for joining us. Also the UN country team, we have the head of UNFPA, Ms. Erika Goldsen, welcome. We have the head of UNESCO, Ms. Eunice Smith. We have Dr. Richard Banda of WHO. And then we also have, yes, FAO, Ferdinand, welcome. We have UNAIDS, Puleng, IOM, Florence, thank you and welcome. The media, or UNICEF, sorry. UNICEF has been a key partner to organize this event. I'm sorry, One, welcome. Also acknowledging the media. We have good representation from the media. Thank you for joining us. The rest of the MTC team who worked diligently to make this event possible, Nawa and all the other colleagues, thank you, and everybody else who's in the room today. Thank you and welcome. I would like to give the floor now to Nawa for additional welcoming remarks.
Okay, good morning. My name is Nawa Likando, and I'm responsible for digital transformation, innovation, and partnerships at MTC. So I'm given the privilege to give the welcoming remarks. So I will just start by also following my colleagues' example in terms of just welcoming everyone. So to the Director General of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Kare Mbwende, the Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Honorable Emma Inamutila Theophilus, Minister of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports, Art and Culture, Honorable Sanet Steenkamp, the Minister of Health, Social Services, Dr. Esperance Luvendao, the UN Resident Coordinator, Hopelang Pororo, to the MTC side, Dr. Licky Erastus, in absentia represented by Mr. Tina Smith, Mr. Timakanjo, the UN country team members and the UN staff present, and also we are hosted by NAST, so to Dr. Errol Naumab, and the MTC ambassadors present, the UN staff, the members of the media. Good morning and welcome. So it is both an honor and a great privilege to welcome you all to this landmark occasion, which is the signing ceremony of a strategic partnership between MTC and the United Nations in Namibia. Today is more than a ceremonial exchange of signatures. It is the beginning of a powerful and a purposeful collaboration, one that aspires to advance sustainable development and foster inclusive progress across our beautiful nation. As Helen Keller wisely said, alone we cannot do little, but together we can do so much. So this partnership exemplifies the transformative potential, unity, and shared vision. Now, MTC being a foremost digital enabler, we bring unmatched technology capabilities and national reach, and the United Nations, with its global presence and developmental mandate, it contributes a wealth of knowledge and commitment to achieving the sustainable development goals. So together our shared mission is to support the goals that are outlined in Namibia's National Development Agenda by focusing on key areas that will be mentioned as we go throughout our engagement. But we're looking towards the effective governance and public service delivery, economic recovery, transformation and resilience, sustainable development and green growth, human development and community resilience. And also our collaboration will really it will give rise to several flagship initiatives which will speak towards the National Internship Program, which will speak towards rolling out digital identity management, mobile financial services, and also looking at digital connectivity and smart agriculture, as well as rural inclusion. So moreover, in my welcoming, I'd just like to brief that this partnership will strengthen the existing UN developmental programs by utilizing MTC's platforms to expand the reach of educational content, healthcare, awareness campaigns, and SDG messaging. So the special focus will be placed on improving rural connectivity and supporting food systems transformation and advancing inclusive access to quality services. So we are aligning our efforts with the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, and we are affirming our collective resolve to co-create a Namibia that is greener, more inclusive, and more resilient where no one is left behind. Thank you so much for joining us on this event, and we look forward to a very impactful event and going forward a very impactful partnership. So let today mark the beginning of a truly impactful journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for those brilliant welcoming remarks, Noah. I would now like to call Mr. Tinner Smith, the CFO of MTC, representing the MD, to give his remarks.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I want to raise to the protocol that's already set, and allow me to welcome you. And on behalf of Dr. Likte Erastus, the Managing Director of MTC, I want to share a couple of notes. After months of planning and numerous engagements between MTC and the United Nations in Namibia, I'm pleased that today we're officially signing and entering into a partnership that will see our two institutions collaborate to the Sustainability Development Goals through digital innovation. To effectively attain the sustainability goals, it requires us to hold hands, leverage smart technologies, and work collaboratively to improve the livelihoods of people through intentional social and economic programs. I think the word intentional means it's not a tick box, but it becomes reality. It becomes in support. It becomes allocating resources, and I want to underline the word intentional. As a corporate citizen, we have a dearly, and it's part of MTC business, and meaning MTC business, it's a part of MTC's DNA to contribute to the evaluation of poverty, bring about equality, and ensure that our conduct as a business does not degenerate, but protect the environment. Currently, as MTC, we are working to get our ESG framework in place, and that will form the basis of our ESG programs. Again, to underline that is in line with the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, the task of making the world a better place cannot be left to one organization. Hence the drive for the SDGs in a shared and collective one. MTC is a digital enabler, and through our memorandum of our understanding that will be officially today being signed, we are placing technologies to drive and become the solution at the helm of accelerating the agenda of sustainable goal. We do recognize the critical role of the honorable ministers, the departments, the United Nations in Namibia, United Nations worldwide. And at the end of the day, it historically, but we aim for the forward. Today is the first day of a future. Today is the first day of a collaboration. And to underline again, today is not the first day of ticking a box. Today is the first day to put our shoulders and our heads toward what we need to aim and what we achieve. The common and fundamental objective is to improve the life of people by making the world a better place for all, with no discrimination. So through quality education, sound national development plans and policies, and technology, amongst others, we must record significant impact and the progress in driving the national prosperity. And I say this because I'm confident in the power of partnerships. We must always identify areas of mutual interest and harness cooperation for the shared goal. To avoid that every corporate citizen, every single person try to achieve the goal, and at the end of the day, all this little bit is not equal to if everyone comes together, put resources together, and at the end of the day, achieve together a bigger goal than these little small stones in the road. Before I conclude, I would like to highlight to you the key areas of cooperation between MTC and United Nations in Namibia. Through these areas, we intend to advance Namibia's social, economic and transformation development in alignment with the National Development Plans, Vision 2030, Agenda 2063, and the Sustainable Development Goals. And these areas are effective governance and public service delivery, economic recovery, transformation and resilience, sustainable development and green growth, and human development and community resilience. So today marks the official commissioning to execute and implement as per the agreed resolutions of the MOU. And I would therefore like to commend the teams from MTC and United Nations in Namibia who work with seamless coordination and make sure that the signing of this very important MOU become reality. To the leadership of the United Nations in Namibia, thank you for recognizing and considering MTC as a digital partner on a shared journey to the Sustainable Development Goals. The journey of fighting poverty, bringing equality in society, and protecting our environment. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tennis Smith. I think my key takeaway from his speech is that this shouldn't be a once-off event where we tick a box and we put the MOU in our offices. It should really be about, we should use this as a tool to accelerate development, using digitalization to accelerate development. And we owe it to our country to do so. With that said, I would like to welcome our resident coordinator, Ms. Hopolang Pororo, to give her remarks. Welcome, Arsi.
Thank you, Erelice, and good morning to all of you. Okay. Good morning to all of you. Thank you. So I would like to start off by acknowledging Mr. Tinus Smith, representing the MD of MTC. I also acknowledge the Director General of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Kairim Bwende. Also, I will then stand on the other protocols which have already been established. Of course, not forgetting my UN colleagues as well, who I am standing here on behalf of the entire UN team here in Namibia, but with the ones who are here. So it is with great pleasure to join you today for the signing of the joint declaration of intent between the United Nations and MTC. This partnership represents a meaningful step forward in our shared commitment to deliver on the digital compact of the Pact of the Future. A global process Namibia proudly helped shape as co-facilitator alongside Germany during the 2024 UN General Assembly. The 2030 Agenda challenges us to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all. Achieving this bold vision requires more than action or more than ambition. It demands strong partnerships, innovative approaches, and a shared sense of responsibility. Today's signing is a powerful example of the kind of transformative collaboration we need to go further and faster. Partnering with MTC, Namibia's leading digital enabler, unlocks opportunities to close the digital divide and extend the benefits of a thriving digital economy to all Namibians. By harnessing technology and innovation, we can empower communities, enhance economic resilience, and foster inclusive growth throughout the country. This 5-year partnership establishes a comprehensive framework for cooperation on critical national priorities, including, first, the National Internship Program, building the gap between education and employment by connecting young people to real-world industry experience. Second is to digital identify management, promoting inclusive access to services through innovative eKYC solutions. Third, mobile financial services, which will build financial literacy and economically empower undeserved communities. And lastly, smart connectivity initiatives, expanding internet access and introducing IoT technologies to increasing productivity and drive innovation. Together, these initiatives form a holistic approach to digital transformation, one that is firmly aligned with Namibia's broader development goals. Beyond these core areas, Namibia will also support existing UN programs, from education and health to environmental protection and nutrition, by amplifying messaging, strengthening digital infrastructure for online learning, and enabling innovation in agriculture, entrepreneurship, and climate resilience. And I just want to pull out one example. It was in December last year, no, in fact, earlier this year, in April, where we undertook a field visit to Kavango West, because we were there working with 3 UN entities dealing with the issues or supporting the government with the national response towards drought. And WFP was already working with MTC in terms of the vouchers for the populations who we were supporting in terms of food. So that was already something which was already a practical example of what we are doing with MTC. So it's really about how do we expand the work that we are doing. Not, of course, saying we are working with MTC to get their money, but no, what we are saying is how can they leverage on what we have in order for us then to serve and address the priorities which the government of Namibia has established. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to note that 11 UN entities are in support of this partnership. This reflects our joint commitment to delivering impact through an integrated whole-of-UN approach that truly leaves no one behind. This partnership also aligns seamlessly with the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework from 2025 to 2029, the government's National Development Plan priorities, and global aspirations articulated in the Digital Compact, all aimed at building a human-centered, inclusive, and secure digital future for Namibia. What we bring as the UN is policy advice, technical expertise, capacity building, knowledge, tools, and good practices. We don't bring money to the table. We are not a donor entity, but we bring what I've mentioned. We have pools of expertise, because when we look at the UN, sometimes we just look at what we have in Namibia, but we can leverage all this from other parts of the UN in different countries. So, but at the heart of everything we do, and even in this partnership, it's not just about digital tools or technological infrastructure, it's about people. It is about ensuring that every Namibian can participate, to prosper and to thrive in a rapidly evolving digital world. In today's global landscape, we are also confronting rising skepticism about the value and effectiveness of multilateralism, alongside a marked decline in development financing. Official development assistance is shrinking, even as needs continue to grow. This reality compels us to think and to act differently, to broaden the base of support for sustainable development by forging innovative partnerships beyond traditional actors. The private sector has a critical role to play, not as funders of last resort, but as co-creators of solutions that are scalable, sustainable, and impactful. Because once again, one of the things many of us, or many of the entities suffer from, is small projects which are not brought up to scale. And the challenge for all of us is, how do we bring what we are doing to scale? Because as long as they remain small projects, isolated, we will not feel the impact of them. So in this spirit, I want to reflect briefly on SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. It reminds us that achieving the Sustainable Development Goals will not be possible without strong, inclusive, and purpose-driven partnerships. Mr. Smith also alluded to that in his message or in his remarks as well. So today we are called to go beyond transactional, or symbolic forms of cooperation, beyond one-off donations or CSR checklists, but what we need is to forge deeper strategic collaborations that align core business strengths with national development priorities. So what does the meaningful collaboration with the UN look like? It means co-creating solutions. Together, identifying where your innovation or our innovation, reach and expertise meets our mission to leave no one behind. It means jointly tackling systemic challenges, youth unemployment, climate resilience, digital exclusion, food security, and it also means leveraging data, infrastructure, networks, and capital, not just for visibility, but for sustainable impact. And this word is the one I'm using it because what we want is impact, impact, impact. So the real question to ask is how can our collaboration move forward from goodwill to game-changing, from doing good to doing differently? The United Nations stands ready to walk that path with you as a partner in action, innovation, and long-term impact. So let us endeavor to do that with this partnership, and let's make sure that it just doesn't end on the pages of this which we have signed, but let's see it actually happening in action and making a difference in Namibia's landscape. So I thank you for your attention, and look forward to walking this journey together with MTC and all our partners.
Wow, that was very good, RC. So what I got from what our resident coordinator said is that we must have sustainable impact, especially for the underserved communities, because digitalization is good, but we also have the challenge of ensuring that everybody gets on board and we close up that digital divide. So that's very important. That being said, like I said earlier, the Minister of MICT is here with us digitally. So she's going to give her keynote address via video. Can we please put the Minister's address on?
Director General of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Kaira Mbwende, Minister of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports and Culture, Honorable Sanet Stienkam, Minister of Health and Social Services, Dr. Esperance Lufindao, MD of MTC, Dr. Ligi Erastus, the United Nations Resident Coordinator, Mrs. Hopalang Bororo, distinguished members of the UN country team, development partners, members of media, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to you all. It is an honor to join you this morning, albeit virtually, for the official launch of the partnership between MTC and the United Nations in Namibia, an initiative that is not only timely, but vital for our country's developmental trajectory. I would like to commend both institutions for their visionary leadership in formalizing this collaboration, which will undoubtedly accelerate our shared development goals through the power of digital innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, the world is changing rapidly. Digital technology is no longer a luxury, it is an enabler of opportunity, inclusion, and resilience. The mode of delivery of this statement in itself is a demonstration of how technology enables unconventional means of doing business. The signing of this MOU comes at a critical moment. It brings together the strength of Namibia's foremost digital enabler, MTC Namibia, and the multi-sectoral expertise of the United Nations system. This collaboration is structured around key pillars that speak to our national imperatives: effective governance, human development, economic transformation, and of course, sustainable growth. Importantly, this partnership is not about infrastructure alone. It is about people. It is about learners who will, for the first time, gain access to digital learning tools that could transform the academic future. It is about entrepreneurs who can use mobile financial services and digital platforms to scale their business. It is about healthcare workers who will be equipped with mobile tools to improve healthcare delivery in remote areas. And it is about civil servants striving to make our government systems more responsive, and transparent through e-governance solutions. This is what digital transformation must look like: human-centered, inclusive, and rooted in dignity and equity. As the ministry responsible for information and communication technology, we are committed to creating an enabling environment for this partnership to flourish. We will continue to advance progressive digital policies, expand broadband access, promote digital literacy, and foster innovation ecosystems that benefit all Namibians, especially those in marginalized communities. I am particularly pleased with the focus on initiatives such as the National Internship Program, digital identity systems, and rural connectivity, all of which are essential to building a more inclusive digital economy. Furthermore, the integration of MTC's infrastructure with UN-led programs in education, health, food systems, and social protection is a practical example of the whole society approach we must adapt to achieve rural but lasting impact. Ladies and gentlemen, digitalization is not an end in itself. It is a means to create a more just, prosperous, and equal Namibia. It is an enabler. This partnership is a clear demonstration of what we can achieve when the private sector, public institutions, and international partners come together with a common vision and a shared responsibility to deliver for our people. Allow me to close by reaffirming the Ministry's full support for this partnership. Let us work together to ensure its successful implementation, regular progress review, and continuous learning. Let us ensure that no one is left behind in Namibia's digital future. Thank you very much, and I wish the MTC U.N partnership every success. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
I think we can all agree that that was a powerful remark, keynote address. So we have to ensure that everybody is included in our digital evolution. And that being said, we also have 4 other people in the room with us digitally. And as part of the program, we're going to have a brief panel discussion going through the profiles of the other 4 people that are in the room. I think we have the first one on the screen now. We have Maggie. I would just like everybody to take a minute to read Maggie's profile. And then we introduce the other 3 people. We have 4 in total. Just 1 minute. Can we please read Maggie's profile? Maggie is in the room with us. We need to speak to Maggie. This partnership must speak to Maggie. Must I read for you? Oh, the son, okay. Okay, so Maggie is 25. She has a disability. She's visually impaired, but despite that, she has completed her university degree in business administration. However, currently, she's struggling with employment. She's unemployed, and most of the employers are reluctant to adjust their workplaces to accommodate her because she has visual impairment. Therefore, she's struggling with depression, financial insecurity. Even though she gets a disability grant, it's not enough for her. And she's very depressed. And also she knows that if employers are looking at graduates, they are bound to give those ones without a disability the preference. And she's thinking of ending her life sometimes. So that is Maggie's profile. Can we put on the other profile? And then we have Maria here. Maria is very ambitious. She wants to become the president of this country one day. So she's 12 years old. She is growing up at a farm. Her parents are farm workers. She has to work every day to school for 10 kilometers. And sometimes during holidays, the farm owners' kids brag about studying online. They have laptops, they have cell phones. And Maria is really worried that she's getting left behind. But she also knows her parents cannot afford to send her to a better school in Hobabes, for example. But despite that, Maria still wants to lead this country. She wants to become the president of this country. So that's Maria's profile. At 12 years old, she already knows she wants to lead this country. Can we please have the other profile on? And then we have Lucas in the room with us also. He's a young father who lives in Katutura. He works as a taxi driver, and he works long hours to support his family. His youngest child was just diagnosed with a chronic heart condition. And it's very difficult for him to manage the regular hospital and clinic visits, because that means he is losing out on his income as a taxi driver. And he must make that sacrifice sometimes. Sometimes he has to sacrifice his appointments because he has to make money. Otherwise, there won't be money to take care of his sick child. So he's constantly worried about how does he handle this challenge of having a sick child, but also at the same time, he doesn't have the time to sacrifice his financial security. Otherwise, they won't be financially secure. So that is Lucas's profile. Can we have the other one, please? And then we also have Anna. She's a small-scale farmer. She's growing maize and raising and goats and chickens. And she's a sole provider. She's a single mother, providing for her 3 children. And she's also taking care of her elderly mother. And she's only relying on seasonal agriculture to support her household. So she worries when the rain does not come. It means that she doesn't have their livelihoods is disturbed. And sometimes she hears other farmers talking that they get information and updates through their phones, but she has an old phone. She doesn't get access to these things. And also, she's also worried that sometimes the transport cost of taking whatever she has to sell to market, it's quite high. So she's in that dilemma. Those are the 4 profiles that we are going to discuss. Firstly, we're going to start with Maggie. Please put the profile of Maggie on. Maggie, yes. Sorry, just give us 1 minute to get the stage ready. So we would like to call the DG of NPC. You know, we know that the National Planning Commission is very key in coordinating development. Yes. Okay, please. And we would like to hear from Dr. Kaire Bwende. What would you like to see in this partnership to address Maggie's concerns? She's unemployed. She has visual impairment, but despite that, she still completed her education. I'm sorry. So what would you like to see from this partnership, DG? To address Maggie's concerns and to make sure that Maggie is not left behind?
Well, thank you very much. But first of all, let me just thank the partners, which is the UN and MTC, because there is so much. I mean, for us as a planning agency of government, we have to make sure that there is policy coherence and there are also alignment of resources. There are a lot of resources in our society that are not necessarily accessible. And hence the partnership between government, the UN agency, and the private sector is key. And I should also mention academic institutions, since we are at NAST. They are doing a lot of research which end up just in computers and files and not necessarily accessible to the rest of society. Now, on the specific situation of Maggie, first of all, I'm told she's among us. Congratulations that we have done so well that you have completed your degree. That is a spirit of resilience and never giving up. I think what needs to happen with her situation should really be a question of inclusivity. How do you make sure that people like Maggie can work in a security environment? And this does not have to be that you go to a workplace, but you can also work from home. And that is something that we have not been good at. You know, I know from my own experience, when I was living in Europe, I would call and say, today I'm not coming to the office, I'm working from home. And it was fine. Now, if I do that, they say, no, he didn't come to work. You know, but this is the future. The future is, and I thought that one should also talk about the importance of digitalization that will enable people like Maggie to be able to work from home. But as a government that is committed to inclusivity, but also to support people who are differently able, it is important that, of course, we can talk about statistics, but to facilitate the inclusion of people with disability in our workplace. And it's both in terms of creating a work environment that is conducive, but also the ability to be able to work from home. In fact, if you look around the world, there are companies in as far away places as India providing services to companies in the US. And this is possible because of digital technology. And therefore, I think since we have this particular case, and I'm sorry to say case, I would like to challenge MTC, that, and of course our partners from the UN, to raise the necessary funds so that we can facilitate Maggie to have access to employment and to change her life. There is no point of just making statistics an example of the worst case scenario, but also we should make an example of what we can do if we mobilize our resources collectively. And I would like to have a pledge from those who are here. You'll be in trouble after you have made pledges without consulting the... But I think this is really, and this appeal is to the broader society, so that, you know, come next year, this time, we'll hear that she's able to work from home. There's a company that was able to accommodate her, and there's a company that was able to provide the equipment that she needs for her to perform her duties. It's not a welfare case. It's somebody who is determined, who is resilient, and who have completed her education. And most of us, or many of us, who are not as challenged as she is, we have not even been able to complete our education. And therefore, let's make a pledge today to support her and to transform her life.
Thank you very much, DG. So, does somebody want to make the pledge? The DG has challenged you to make a pledge. Tines? RC, Eunice?
Yes, very good.
I'm not going to make a pledge because we already did, actually, as the UN, as UNESCO, simply just to say that many, or almost all, I would think, UN agencies actually do have policies in place. So our pledge is there with respect to the equal employment of persons with disabilities. We also have, and I really like the comments that the DG has made. We also have in place remote working opportunities for all our staff. I think, and I feel sad when we see cases like this, because it says to me that the issue is probably a lack of information, for persons with disabilities and the ability to access that information. There might also be other challenges in terms of infrastructure, perhaps. I was looking at one of the ads from MTC earlier when someone didn't have minutes on their phone. They were able to dial a particular number and then get minutes. And then they realized that they didn't have electricity, but they can dial another number and get electricity connected. Now, if Maggie and other persons who are differently able do not have access to the internet or do not have the at home, then that is where the difficulty lies. But in terms of pledging, yes, we can pledge because we do have the policies in place for remote work, for policies for employing persons with disabilities. And so creating that enabling environment is there. But I think we really do need to do better in terms of the communication and sharing of information. And here, I think this is where perhaps MTC and the new MOU that we're signing would be a good example for creating more access to information.
So I'm speaking on behalf of TINES. This is very exciting because they don't want me to make a pledge. So
The speakers, maybe just move a little bit away from the speakers.
Oh, the speakers. So we have DG, we have a very exciting program that we came up with called MTC for Life. I think we've been so wired by the education system that assumes that everybody that graduates want to go and look for a job. The other problem is we also so wired to think that people must go out and look for white-collar jobs, while there is blue-collar jobs that you can make a decent living with. The MTC for Life program takes unemployed youth from across the country. Even if you have a grade 10 or grade 12 qualification, we're not looking for qualifications. And we have identified, I think, about 20 different professions, from bricklaying to graphic designing to being a nail technician, barber shops. What is the others? But we've identified quite a few. And we take them in as unemployed graduates with absolutely no experience, as long as they have a passion. And we then train them to become, if you have a passion to become a nail technician, for instance, we will take you in, empower you with, pair you with somebody that is a qualified nail technician. They train you. After that, we give you business training as well. And we would then give you a toolkit, a complete toolkit to say, go and start your business. In most cases, we would also pair you with a financial institution so that once your business starts growing, you are able to go and expand that business. So we would be more than happy to sit with Maggie to understand what her passion is, because we don't want to assume that she wants to go and look for a job, and see how we can accommodate her. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for the comments, and thank you, DG, because I think, as has been mentioned, the inclusion is very, very important, because MTC, you spoke about the program that you are doing for young people to become entrepreneurs. That's what I've understood, right? Yes. So the question, though, is in that, how many have you seen who are living with a disability? Because I think that's where the challenge is that even in our workspaces, we don't really, I think we could do more in terms of recruiting them. And not recruiting them just for, programs which are short-term and dealing with persons with disability, but really in the mainstream. How are they part and parcel of that? And I think this is really what we need to apply, all of us. In the UN, we have tried to have, made the premises to be able to accommodate persons with disability. We've got some who are in the offices working, not as many as we'd like, but we are starting and being very intentional about it. And my last point too is, I think when we look at what the government of Namibia has ratified in terms of policies for persons with disability, I think this even makes a more compelling cause that we need to do far more than what we are doing right now to include the likes of Maggie in our everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And I think adding towards that, we in MTC had two practical experience. We had an employee that was 100%, and she was in a car accident, and she's now in a wheelchair. And that was quite an eye-opener how to accommodate her, not at the end of the day. So that was a good example in it with in MTC. So that accommodation is not that difficult. So I can tell that too. And then we got another employee that can't hear, and we accommodate that person. I don't want to expose in which unit, but yeah, it's not that difficult. And I think reality becomes when one of your employees then a car accident, for an example, and it changed from walking to wheelchair. So how do you accommodate in the office from walking to wheelchair? And there's one or two small adjustments: the working station and the ablution for facilities. That's all, because the brain of that person don't change.
Thank you. I think it's an impressive response, but I don't want policies. I don't want categories. I'm talking about a person who's in our midst. And therefore, while we have policies, let's apply the policies to this particular individual. That's basically what I'm saying. And it so happened that I would say it's her lucky day. So yes, indeed, I understand the policies. The government of Namibia is committed. We are doing, and in fact, if I had the time, I will talk about all the institutions and all the programs. But today we are not doing that. We have a case study, both to understand the complexity of disability and how we can respond to that. And the bottom line is we should be able to give a response to this particular individual, if you want, as an example of how a partnership of this nature can respond to those situations. So, organizers, is it MTC? U.N. Huh? Somebody is going to champion the process.
Thank you very much, DG, and everybody who jumped on the ship to assist Maggie. Maggie, you can hear us. You got the support, and the DG said we don't want policies. We want how the applicability of these policies to your situation, and that's a challenge, right? So one of the joint programs that we are going to develop should be able to speak to the challenges of Maggie. So that's how we will respond to you, DG. That we're going to develop, part of this, the first step is to sign the MOU, but then the next step is to really develop these joint initiatives that should speak to the challenges of Maggie and the other people that we are going to meet in the room as well.
So we will have an addendum on the Maggie's case to this agreement? Because we shouldn't leave it hanging. But I can hear the commitment from all the parties to take this matter forward. And of course, from our office also, we will do our part and see what we can do about it. And it will be interesting to follow her career going forward and what could be done. And so that could be an example for many others also. But what kind of atmosphere or environment do we need to create to work remotely and with, of course, specific disability, in this case, visual impairment. And so with that, I'm very happy. and we can go on to the next one, if you are ready. Or you are the one moderating, not me.
The DG is so excited about Maggie's situation. The next profile. Next one. Next profile, please. DG, we're also going to use you in Maria's instance, and then also get input from the Ministry of Education and UNICEF and UNESCO. So Maria, like we said, Maria is 12 years old, but she wants to lead this country. She is the child of 2 farm workers. She goes to school walking 10 kilometers. She doesn't know anything about online studying. She doesn't have a laptop. She doesn't have a phone. And she knows about the farm workers, the farm owners' kids who are bragging about having access to these facilities. And her parents can't afford to send her to a better school. What do we do for Maria? She wants to lead us one day. How do we not let her down? How can we use this partnership to ensure that Maria gets an enabling environment for her to pursue her dream of becoming the president of this country?
Oh, that's over to me? That's over to you. Yes. Well, thank you very much. And I don't see Maria. Oh, she's online. Okay, this is a new world, huh? No, I think the case of Maria, it's an easier one, relatively speaking, because it's really a question of access to digital technology. And of course, the fact that she lives on the farm and she walks to school, I think it depends on, they say Kobabes, that is more close to my home, actually. And if they were very specific in terms of where, I would have even made suggestions. But one of the things that we have been emphasizing in terms of these cases, it's really to have these hostels. Hostels that will accommodate children, but also that have certain standards. And those of us who went to hostels, it was the only thing when you go to high school, you see the whole holistic approach. Not only did you learn skills, but you learn so many other things. And therefore, that should really be part of our program to create some of these institutions that will be supportive. We have seen in the case of education, you can be very academic talking about the responsibility of the parents and the state and so forth. But if the parents are not educated, what responsibility do you expect from them? And therefore, as a state, we have got to try and fill that space also of the parents, because we can't say that the parents are not forthcoming in terms of their role, because they're marginalized, they're poor, but also not educated, and therefore would not be able to help, to help the children. Now, it was not many years ago, but when we were in the villages, and there is a letter sent from Windhoek. Those of us who were in grade 4 or whatever, we would be called to read the letter, and that is where we come from. And so that in the villages, it was kids who were in the grade 3, grade 4, because they have learned to read and write, could read the letter sent to their grandmother and so forth. Now, so with that situation, I think one should really support some of these institutions to develop and support children like Maria. So that is what my take on that is. Yes, let's get her to a boarding school that has got the necessary supportive environment for her to flourish and become the president of this country.
Thank you very much, DG. We would also like to hear from the UN agencies and the Ministry of Education How do we ensure that we don't let Maria down by using this? How can we use this partnership to ensure that we don't then let Maria down? UNESCO, UNICEF, Ministry of Education.
Since I've already taken the floor this morning, I'll take it again. Sorry, not on policy. Actually, I was going to address the issue of disability again, because I mentioned, before I talk about the Maria case, I mentioned that for me, the issue may have been, is in the case of a person who is disabled, is the problem of access to information. And maybe I should have perhaps not been so general and be a bit more specific in terms of what I was referring. I have been in Namibia now for almost 2 years, and we have done a number of recruitments. And of all of the applications we get, and we do get many, I don't ever recall having someone who has a disability apply for one of the positions. So it says to me that there is a problem in terms of information, even though we advertise in the newspapers and on public fora. And so perhaps persons who are disabled are not applying because they do not necessarily access the information about vacancies. Yes, we have the policies in place, which allows us to recruit persons with disabilities. But if persons with disabilities do not apply, then we cannot recruit them. So perhaps this might be an opportunity for this new MOU to address something like that. So when vacancy notices are published, perhaps they are published in different forms, for example, with Braille, or maybe there's a forum where it is communicated for sound so that people are aware. Because, I mean, we do, as you say, we don't want to talk about policies, we want to discuss people's lives. But we need to have the policies in place so that the people can take advantage of it. And we do have them. Now we need people to take advantage. But going back to the question before us now, which is Maria, when I read the case initially, I thought, I wonder if President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah at 12 wanted to lead the country. That was the first thing that came to mind. But in terms of UNESCO, we do have a number of programs ongoing, which we would be able to leverage the MOU, the partnership with MTC, to facilitate access to education for young people like Maria to have access. One, we have, a big focus of our work right now is to support digital transformation in Namibia. And we're doing that in education, also in culture, but a very big way in education. We have a project which is funded by the Republic of Korea, working on information and communication technology, developing information and communication technology in education. And through this project, for example, we're working on developing the capacities of teachers, of teacher training institutions. We're developing platforms for access, for accessing learning material, teaching material online. And the partnership with MTC will facilitate young people, students in rural areas to access digital education. And we have our ICT in education expert here, so she can actually discuss even in more detail individually how we're addressing issues with curriculum in terms of learning and teaching material, in terms of training capacities, and ensuring that the relevant frameworks, working with the Ministry of Education to ensure that they are in place. The other thing which I wanted to mention with respect to this is also the issue of research and surveys, which I saw in the draft MOU, this is something which is really very important. And in order to develop digital transformation in education, we need to be able to access or to understand the situation on the ground. And so being able to work with MTC to assess exactly what are the needs of the students, what are the needs of the schools on the ground is very important. We also have we have a number of different projects. I mentioned ICT in education. There is another program which is called Youth Coding, which is focused on AI, developing AI skills, coding skills. This is being implemented. And we will be providing, or we have them already, but we would soon be transferring to a number of schools in Namibia 200 tablets, which we have procured for use so that there can be classrooms where this sort of learning is taking place. So Maria would not feel that she's being left behind because there is she doesn't have a tablet or one of those digital. So as I said, we already have this on the ground. We just haven't organized the handover as yet.
Thank you, Eunice. So we'll definitely ensure that we take Maria's school into account when we are distributing those tablets. We are running behind schedule, so can I just ask the next inputs to be very brief, please? It's okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Grace Kashima. I'm from Ministry of Education. I'm standing in for our ministers who couldn't make it to this event. Now coming back to the case of Maria. Maria looks really, resilient, and she wants to become a president one day. But however, Maria's situation is really common in our schools. It's a common issue that we have within our schools. A lot of learners, especially from rural areas, they face quite a lot of barriers. There's distance, they don't have, limited internet connectivity, and also, under-resourced schools. But Maria, looking at her, she has potential. It's someone that, you want to make sure that they have everything, access to educational material for them to be able to make it in life. So the Ministry of Education, the former Ministry of Education, Art and Culture, currently now, it's now Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport, Art and Culture. It has become a bigger ministry. We are working on trying to see if we can, close that digital gap. The digital gap, digital divide is a national, it's, I think, recognized at a national level. And we are all trying to see if we can close that gap. And I've seen that MTC, together with CREN, they are doing quite a lot to try and see if they close that gap. So it's actually because of that gap that we find ourselves in this situation. But on top of that, we have quite a lot of projects running. Like the UN had just mentioned now that we have quite a lot of projects running. We have projects running in terms of infrastructure expansion in our schools for us to make sure that the bandwidth is sufficient for learning, teaching and learning. And then we have other projects that are running for us to make sure that we have digital content, not just to make sure that we have devices and internet connectivity, but we don't have content. So we also have working on the content. And then we are also working on the platforms, the e-learning platform, inclusive for all our learners. In this case, we make sure that our resource schools where we find different impairment are also part of those schools that will be equipped with equipment, ICT devices and internet connectivity. And then also on top of that, we're trying to foster quite a lot of, public and private partnership for us to make sure that we have, sustainability. And this type of partnership really just comes at the right time where we already have initiatives that are running. So basically, it's going to accelerate most of these projects that we are having. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Grace. Sorry? I'm sorry? Okay, let me give you. No, it's not Q&A. Do you? Okay. UNICEF also has inputs, but please keep it a bit brief. Sorry, we are running behind time, but it shows that we are passionate about addressing Maria and Maggie's problems.
Thank you so much. I have to keep it short, but first of all, I would just like to reiterate what was mentioned, the issue of inclusion, the issue of equity, the issue of doing things intentional, as well as the issue of collaboration. We are here in terms of addressing Maria's case is really to look at how do we strengthen those partnerships. And with MTC, I don't want to repeat what was said by Eunice and by Grace, but just to add that we also need to look at how do we zero rate some of these services so that we know that these children, when they access education, be it now online or offline, is zero rated. How do we make sure that MTC partner with other stakeholders to make sure that all of these e-learning platforms are really benefiting all the children? When we talk of disability, we don't only look at those with physical or hearing impairments, we also look at those with intellectual disabilities. They all need to be supported equally. We understand that now there's an AI app that has been produced by 2 young learners, or 2 young boys, 19 years old, and they are basically including the entire school curriculum on that app, where children can basically also be taught, which we should really use as maybe as an assistant teacher. And if Maria can get that app, then she'll be able to participate. I don't think that we need to look at always, putting all of the children in boarding facilities, but make sure that we bring education to the children. Bring schools closer to the children, and if we have got all of these up, all of these technologies where Maria can learn even when she's not at school and compete with her peers who are farm workers, farm employers' children, then she can also be boasting. In addition also, I think we heard of the apps that UNESCO has procured. How do we make sure that all of these apps are, and also Grace, all of these apps are really the e-learning platforms are already preloaded in these apps, and we train teachers on how to work with children to be able to access them, be it at school or out of school, then online or offline. I think these are the things that we should think about doing. And for UNICEF also, we are already working with MICT, CRAN, and the ministry and other stakeholders to strengthen access to connectivity in underserved communities. And I hope that this partnership would really contribute to getting all the schools in Namibia, including health facilities, being able to access connectivity so that we make sure that every child in Namibia is learning and Maria's dreams are realized. I want to highlight something very quickly in terms of also access to digital technology. We should also think of how do we prepare Maria and other peers in a situation, not only to strive academically, but also to consider all the 21st century skills that we mentioned so that she can be supported. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time, but we need to give our partner a chance.
Yeah, just by way of quick comment in terms of 30 seconds. DJ, I'm very happy to announce that the Ministry of ICT with the telecommunications partners have launched what they call the Universal Service Fund. Because you can give Maria a laptop, you can give her airtime, you can give her a cell phone, but the problem there is access to technology. MTC has already started with 30 million budget from the ministry to start putting up towers in areas like where Maria is. Secondly, we have the MTC Rural Schools project. I think I'm glad to see it's on Maheke. We started with Dongerbos this year as well, where we go into rural areas and start upgrade schools in terms of classrooms, because we know there's a huge backlog, I think about almost 500,000 classrooms. After all is said and done, Maria still has a problem. We don't know when a tower will be erected there. We don't know when the iPads will go out. So hopefully we would be able to assist Maria in the interim by getting her to a school that has access to the facilities that she needs. And my colleague here has pledged 10,000 Namibian dollars to get her there. Education is supposed to be free in Namibia anyway, so it's probably just the traveling cost that Maria's parents has a problem with. Thank you so much.
So Maria, there's a 10,000 on the table for you.
I think there are two issues here. The one is, of course, the digital divide and access to technology. The other one is the long distance of walking. When you arrive at school, you're already tired. And how can you learn when you have to walk 10 kilometers and you walk 10 kilometers back home? How can you do your homework? And so that is an issue we have to address. The other one is generally, these are all developmental issues. The issue of development of infrastructures, the towers you're referring to. And just for the information of the audience, the tower that was just referring to at Dongerpost is actually a school for the San children. So it's really a response to the relatively marginalized communities. And that is, I would like to commend you for that initiative. And we have to speed up the whole process of connectivity and building of the towers with MTC. And we as government also in collaboration with MTC could make some resources available so that we speed up that process. But then the challenge, the challenge is really this, the one of access to the schools, because to bring technology to the school is one thing, but to go to the school is also another thing. And that is one of the problems. And that's why the old-fashioned hostel where children don't have to walk up and down was a solution. But for the other areas, of course, the urban areas is actually a question of access to a computer lab, because you can't maybe give everyone a laptop, but you can have a computer lab that can be used by everyone. Now, on the issue of application by people with disability for jobs advertised, there is something called self-censorship. You say, what the hell? Why do I apply when I will not get it anyway? So there is a little bit of that. But also, sometimes we say this or that qualification is an added advantage. And if we say a disability is an advantage for certain job categories, and we give priorities to that, I think that will help and encourage people to apply and to participate. But as it is now, you just say that, why wasting my time? I will not get it anyway. And that's why we have that kind of statistics where the majority of people with disability don't apply for jobs. And we have to make extra efforts to encourage them to do so. Yes, over to you.
Thank you very much, DG. I think Maggie and Maria are very fortunate that we have a room full of people that are passionate to really address their plight. And we are going to, it's clear that this partnership will be put to good use. We are really running behind time. We're just going to do one more profile and then we will get to the signing ceremony. So we have Lucas as well. This is health related. This is health related. Lucas, the father who's a taxi driver, his child has a chronic condition. He's not able to manage his appointments with the clinics and health facilities. So how do we assist him? We have representatives from WHO here. Dr. Banda and Boacho, would you like to comment on how we can use this partnership to assist Lucas?
Thank you. So is it Lucas or the daughter? But I believe by assisting Lucas, we are assisting the daughter as well. We are talking about equitable access to health services, and just talking about how we access them is one thing. We know there are many who are incurring what we call catastrophic costs just by trying to access a service, and that makes people even poor. And what we are trying to do is to bring services to the doorstep. In this particular case, this is a very specialized condition which may not benefit much with services that are brought doorstep. But there are initiatives where people are able to consult a specialist using digital mechanisms. That is what is called telemedicine. But it requires a conducive environment to do telemedicine. You need regulation. You need wider consultations with the communities. You also need to make sure that patients' confidentiality is not put at risk. So it's one mechanism where the father doesn't have to spend in terms of transport, but they're able to access specialist services from home. So right now, I know that the ministry is working on that. It might take time, but I'm sure that with the support from the technology industry, MTC being one of those, I think they can facilitate in making sure that when these discussions take place, the technical services or the technical ministry is guided as to how we ensure that confidentiality is not put at risk for the people that are able to consult. Because you might introduce that, but people may not be willing to access the services for fear of their information getting out of hand. So I can't say much for now, but all I can say is that there are services that are being considered for telemedicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Banda. Buacho, do you have something to add? No.
I can imagine that for Lucas, as he's driving around with his business of driving a taxi, that he may also be, thinking also at the same time that, I might get late, or sometimes he may even forget the appointment time. The other thing is I'm also thinking that as he's driving around, he may have to be carrying the medical records of the daughter, which compromises the confidentiality that Dr. Abanda spoke about. The e-health strategy of the Ministry of Health, or the National E-Health Strategy, it speaks to these things. It speaks to issues around creation of or investment into electronic medical records that will deal with the problem of driving around with hard copy medical record cards. But as this advancement is made, greater responsibility is required in terms of securing or data protection. So in there, I think for the basis of this agreement or memorandum of understanding, there is an opportunity for the UN team to leverage their expertise in supporting laws and policies. I know, DG, you said we should not go into policies, but it will be very important that as we leverage this technology, we also, take into account the responsibility that we need, that comes with that. So investing into strengthening data protection laws so that this great innovation is not taken advantage of. I'm also thinking of appointment reminders, digitized, appointment reminders that would be helpful for Lucas. But these are solutions that we are aware that within the private health sector, they are being implemented. So they've been tested, they've been tried. Perhaps it's now time to bring them now to the public health sector where a lot of people are accessing their healthcare services. And we might also like my colleague from UNICEF mentioned, consider an equitable approach. We know that within the cities and the larger towns, there is not much of a digital divide. But then how do we make sure that the person that is in a rural area of Namibia is not left behind? That as we roll out these innovations, we are not expanding the digital divide. So maybe perhaps we start at that level, we reach the furthest left behind first, and then we work upwards. Thank you.
Okay, let me say it. Okay.
There's no time. Okay. No, I'm not planning to. Thank you. I think I greatly appreciate everything that's been said, and I'm just thinking that I think for everything, if we ask ourselves the why and what if not. For instance, earlier case, Maria possibly cannot even get to school. So I like the idea of the community youth centers, for instance. How do we leverage on some of those, and then they are multi-sectoral in that they provide information not just for health, not just for HIV, but for other things which would include even people accessing those services at community level in an instance where they are not able to get to the point, the facility point, either health or education. And similarly, I think the digital reminders have already been mentioned to say why. And some of the reasons that have been mentioned is that there are long waiting times, there's poor communication between him and the facility. So how do we address and bridge that gap of either communication or access or the long waiting times using innovations that we have now? Thank you.
Thank you, Puleng. I'm told that it's not fair for Anna, who's also online. Do you want to say something here? Or can we please have the profile of Anna on? Just to briefly discuss her as well. So Anna, I'm going to stereotype the DG now, he's Herero. I know he's probably farming with cattle and has a farm or communal land, my stereotypes. Yeah, so we have Anna in the room as well. She's a communal farmer. She doesn't have access to smartphone. She's missing out on information. And she knows that other farmers use smartphones and digitalization or digital technology to get information on pricing and so on, which makes and also smarter farming technology. So how do we assist a person like Anna? I'm going to start with MTC.
This is very simple. The UN will buy Anna a new phone. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Tim, for that one. Okay, this question really also speaks to the question about profitability versus also sort of taking care of our communities. Now, let's talk about the partnership. We understand that MTC is a for-profit. Ultimately, we have to deliver value. And the UN has a different mandate. But in this case, we are comfortable to say that within our journey as MTC, we have a lot of different initiatives speaking towards corporate social investment, speaking towards ESG. And an example for Anna is that when you're talking about her being a farmer, in 2023, I think in 2023, we partnered with the Environmental Investment Fund to provide early warning systems in Kunene, which actually help small holder farmers with access to information. So now you have the meteorological service that has access to information, whether it's droughts, whether it's changing weather patterns, and they're able to actually provide this information to the communities. So that is a solution already that is available for Anna to have access to information. There was, I think, 800,000 support from MTC, where we provided 4 different systems in the region of Kunene. So there are interventions, and we're hoping to pull these into the MOU that we're having. So we're consolidating efforts. Another one is also looking at information that she has access to, that devices. We've subsidized devices in the form of our smartphone campaign, whereas now individuals are able to get smartphone devices that are subsidized. You don't have to pay $2,000, $4,000, but you pay even $600 for a smartphone device. So there are initiatives that we have been rolling out. And there are technology solutions that we have that are subsidized, and through this partnership, we aim to package those and provide now those relevant solutions. But it's just important to note that this is not the start of MTC starting to implement investments towards social activities, but we have been doing that, and this is just helping us to consolidate our efforts, because now we're bringing it under one pool, and we have access now as well to the UN's collective intelligence as well. You know where the issues are, we know where the solutions are, so ultimately we are coming together. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Nawa.
Where do we leave Anna? Anna is a beneficiary of these solutions. So now what we're trying to do is, because the UN knows exactly where Anna is, what happens is now our interventions are targeted. So now we're providing solutions, and we have active visibility in terms of where all these beneficiaries or where all these different people with problems are situated at. But ultimately, we are consolidating our efforts, and we're providing a solution to Anna. So Anna has a solution now. Yeah.
Since the MTC team has been very generous, maybe somebody can also put on the table a smartphone for Anna as a start. Okay.
Smartphone for Anna.
The DG is volunteering a smartphone for Anna. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, DG. And let's also hear from some of our specialized agencies like FAO.
Thank you, Erolis. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ferdinand Mwapopi from FAO. Now, please allow me to stand by the protocol already observed and to thank the UN system and management of MTC for this initiative, for this partnership. As you may know, SDG 17 is about partnership to deliver on the goals. And this partnership will enable us to deliver on all the other SDGs. Now, in terms of FAO, how we are going to leverage on this partnership in order to contribute to agri-food system transformation. In the case of Anna and similar farmers, smallholder farmers, men, women, and youth, we are hearing here that Anna is in the case of there's no rain. She's afraid that she will lose everything. So she needs information in order to improve her productivity, not just to farm for a family, but also to make a living, to improve her livelihood. Now, in terms of talking about world food system transformation, looking at productivity, she needs real-time information to improve her productivity, to produce more from less. Probably she has only 1 hectare of land. She needs information, and FAO is, as an agent of, technical agents of the United Nations, have a wealth of information for conservation agriculture that can, working with MTC as a digital enabler, can help to increase adoption of conservation agriculture, precision agriculture, and integration. Like we are seeing that she's both a crop and a livestock farm. How can she improve to integrate her farming system so that she can not only, for example, depend on the crops. For example, FAO can also make information available, early warning information we had from the other gentleman about early warning information. And with FAO, this information is becoming more accurate and readily available and than ever before. And in terms of processing, also FAO can make this information available, and again, MTC as the enabler when it comes to digitalization can make this information available even if she's just using a touch phone, in terms of reducing post-harvest loss and maintaining quality of produce. And then again, in terms of distribution, I was talking about improving a livelihood, like how can she access markets? This information can be readily available if through this partnership. And then lastly, consumption, how can food loss can be also improved. But I also want to come back to the point of Mr. Ikanjo in terms of mobile phone. We need more partnership, not only with MTC, because once we make this technical know-how information from FAO, which will be enabled by MTC to transfer it to the field, we need to support farmers, because the information will be available, but they need, for example, input, agro input. So we need more partnership, and as also as it was said by the RC, let it not just be a paperwork, but let's make it a reality, and let's think about innovative ways, sustainable ways for resource mobilization to really transform the agri-food system. Thank you.
Okay, this is really there's a lot of passion in the room. 30 seconds only.
Mine is really 30 seconds. I would just like to also request MTC, when we provide these apps to schools, especially to Maria, to make sure that we consider the challenges or dangers with online sexual exploitation and abuse. We hear of our many children now getting preyed into that. So let's also consider how we can strengthen our apps to avoid that.
Okay, I think we have our hands full with what needs to happen to ensure that we really put this partnership to good use.
Well, thank you very much for everything. But if you look at all these issues, they are really part of government development agenda. In terms of health, we have committed ourselves to universal health care. We have programs to build district hospitals in all our regions. And in fact, the one which is coming up soon is the one here in Windhoek. Therefore, the issue of digital divide and the divide between rural and urban areas is something that the government is really trying to bring down, because so that you have clinics and hospitals at every corner. And just like in the case of education, health, the commitment from our president is that there is no reason why government hospitals shouldn't be at par or even better than the private hospitals. And there is a very clear commitment to make sure that that happens. You might have heard the announcement that as of next year, April, all civil servants with government medical aid will be required to use state facilities and not private facilities. If you use private facility, it's for your own account. But if you are using the government medical aid, you will have to do it through the state. And this even gives incentives for this hospital to be improved in terms of infrastructures, management, equipment, and so forth. There's a total commitment to that program. Time will not allow to go through some of those details. The same thing applies also to agriculture, because we believe agriculture is really the low-hanging fruits in terms of employment creation and in terms of overall development. And there's quite a lot of money that will go into agriculture. Of course, in this context, we are talking about access to information, connectivity, and so forth. And that's why the issue of Anna, from the point of view of today's meeting, is to get her cell phone, a smartphone. But going forward, there is extension services that are available in the regions, and the districts to support the various agricultural initiatives. So I think that is, and of course the FAO has been involved also in terms of some of the extension services. And I recall that when I was a Deputy Minister of Agriculture, which was ages ago, the FAO representative was like part of my staff. We were working together on all sort of things, and we had very good people from the FAO, and they were instrumental in helping us, not only in terms of policy, but specific intervention and resource mobilization. So therefore, I would like to thank the UN, MTC for this partnership, and it's actually a model, because there is so much resources within our society, but we are not aware of them. And MTC has been focusing on what they have been doing, their core business, but there is more they can do also to respond to societal needs and so forth. We are here at NAST, they're doing a lot of research. We have students who are studying IT. What are they doing in terms of passing on these skills to society? So we are going to try and harness, because development is not only about the responsibility of the state, but the responsibility of everything. And our role is to harness society total resources, technical, digital, as well as material, to make sure that we transform our society and we create a better life for our people. Our president say we are too few to be poor.
Thank you very much, DG. So we are too few to be poor. Let's keep that in mind. We can now proceed to the signing ceremony. I would like to call the UN Resident Coordinator, Ms. Hopolang. Sorry, RC, we're just getting the table ready. Sarafina, where's the table? Just give us 1 minute.
Over long distances. They walked miles to deliver messages or relied on letters passed hand to hand. In 1995, the Mobile Telecommunications Limited, better known as MTC, took root in Namibia with the aim to make communications easier and open Namibia to new opportunities. Today, MTC is not just a telecommunications provider, but a leader in the technology space, a digital enabler of choice with the vision to drive an inclusive Namibian digital economy. Hence why we introduce products such as MTC Spectra, Home and Edge, a service which offers the fastest and most reliable internet access in Namibia. For businesses and individuals in the most remote areas, MTC's BSAT provides internet and call connectivity via satellite to ensure you're never out of touch. For the businessman who is always on the go, MTC Cyrus is a phone system that uses data for phone calls. You can save on time, reduce maintenance costs, and enjoy lower call rates. Looking to the future, MTC is gearing up to launch 5G, bringing ultra-fast internet and providing endless possibilities to Namibia, driving progress and innovation with IoT or Internet of Things, smart homes, smart business, machines learning and automation. Our vision has always been to connect Namibians far and wide, ensuring that no matter where you are always connected.
MTC, make the connection.
Thank you. We are ready for the signing ceremony. Can we please have the UN Resident Coordinator, Hopolang Pororo, and Mr. Tennis Smith? I pronounced your name correctly, right? Okay. we can now have a photo session. Can we have the DG, the UN country team, and some of the key staff from MTC on the stage, please, for a photo session. You can also be the... Yeah. Okay, the rest of the UN country team can join. MTC staff, please join as well. No, okay. If the media has questions, you can do it throughout the networking session. We are running out of time, unfortunately, on the agenda. Okay. Okay.
Need to send money in a flash? With MTC Maris, it's as easy as dial, tap, and try.
I'm coming from Maheke region, all the way from Talismanes. The thing that inspired me to take up this program, I wanted to add more knowledge on what I know as a welder, and also I needed some equipment from the program also, and also just for networking. I wanted to just explore what is out there than just my own knowledge that the little bit that I know.
This training is very much interesting. I gained a lot of knowledge in starting a business to welding. I acquainted myself with a few tips from the lecturers.
From Calgran, I applied for the MTC for Life training so that I can get better skills on how to weld more better.
I would want to gain more equipment from the ones that I'm having, and also I think that I can employ 1 or 2 people, because I think they're also giving us a small startup capital for us to invest into the small businesses.
I just want to say thank you to MTC for Life, or to MTC for granting us this opportunity to do something for ourselves.
Putting your phone away and paying attention to those talking to you is called respect. Sometimes what seems important on the phone is not really that important. Your cell phone has already replaced your camera, your calendar, and your alarm clock. Don't let it replace your family. The most important thing we can ever give each other is our attention. Give the people in your life the gift of your presence by putting down your phone sometimes. MTC is asking you to disconnect, to connect, to spread the love. MTC, make the connection.
Need cash? No worries. With MTC Maries, your money's just a few taps away. Let's make magic happen. First, dial *140*682#. Enter your unique PIN if you are